This week, we're going to be talking about assessment and how technology can help us with assessment in the classroom. Here are our learning objectives for the week. We'll be learning about all different kinds of assessment tools that we can use in our classroom, so you'll know a variety of tools. You'll understand the difference between formative and summative assessment. We'll be talking about feedback and progress monitoring and what that has to do with assessment. And you should understand that assessment should definitely match the learning goals in order to be effective. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to visualize many ways of how technology can enhance classroom assessment and be able to create a quality screencast. So we'll start with what to assess. What do we assess in a classroom? Well, sometimes we assess the knowledge. Do our students know the certain things they need to know, the content knowledge, and then understandings. Understandings go beyond knowledge to the concepts and generalizations, being able to understand the big ideas behind the knowledge and how it's all connected. And then we also need to assess skills. It might be skills that are reading a map, skills like that, or it might be thinking skills, being able to synthesize, being able to draw a conclusion. Those are skills that we might want to assess. So how can assessment really help learning? One thing we know for sure is that immediate feedback makes a huge difference in learning. If students can be told right away if they're right or wrong or what they can do to improve, they can become better learners and they can make decisions for themselves about what they need to do to become better and to meet the learning goals. Progress monitoring is part of that. If we can show students over time how they're progressing and how close they are to come to the goal, then they can work towards that goal. Formative assessment is the kind of assessment we give that informs our instruction. It doesn't count for a grade, but it does tell us what students need to know and what they need to be able to do. Summative assessment is after the learning. It does count for a grade, and that's when we take all of the things that we're doing to give students feedback and give the formative assessment and then give them a summative assessment. So assessment of learning is summative and assessment for learning is formative. So what makes for effective assessment? First of all, assessment should match your learning objectives directly. So first you should start with what do I want students to know, what do I want them to understand at a deeper level, and what skills do I want them to be able to do. To start with, let's look at some of my favorite applications for testing knowledge of students. You can use this for formative assessment or summative. Here, this is infused learning, and see, this is quick assessment. So on this side, these are all things that I could ask on the spot without any prep ahead of time. I can just send questions to my students and they can answer me on whatever device they have, a mobile device, a laptop, anything that's hooked up to the internet. So let's say I want to send them an open-ended question. I just click on this right here, and you see this is my iPad, I'm in it. But right now on my iPad it gives me a place to type. So I would just ask a question, like what day is today? Type it in, press submit on my iPad, and then you'll see right away if I go to summary here, one response for Sunday. You can go to details and find out who said it, okay, and I could show names or not. But notice all the different kinds of questions I could ask. I could ask a question that's a Likert scale. So how confident are you in learning what we learned today? I could do a quick check for understanding at the end of class. I can ask multiple choice. I can ask students to put things in order, sorting letters or sorting by numbers. I can ask them to draw a response. So watch what happens when I do this. When I click on this, on my iPad, I get drawing. So I would give my students a specific thing to draw and the images would come right through here. So now you would see all of your students' images and you could then talk about, maybe it's the water cycle or whatever it is that they drew. When you go to save the results, it saves as a PDF. You have a different page for every student. You could have an instant ebook for your students. So those are quick assessments, and then over here I can make quizzes ahead of time and have my students take one question at a time. Or I could send them a drawing and have them draw on it. Or I could send them a link and then when they click on it, they'll go to a certain website. So this is one of my favorite resources for collecting that quick information or for a summative assessment at the end or in the middle of my unit to find out what my students know. Another tool for assessment is this Poll Everywhere. So look how easy it is. You just go to Poll Everywhere. You don't need an account or anything. You just create a poll. You can ask whatever question you want. What is your favorite color? You could ask whatever question you want, but just think about this as a tool for finding out what your students know and don't know. You could ask them to summarize very quickly what you just heard. And then we get this screen and they just go on their device and they're already in the room and they can answer. They just put in this code that's right here. Or if they have a phone, they can text it or they can go online and they can put in this code. It's the internet here. There it is. There's my answer, purple. So this would be for quick polls. You could send, you have a text message, notice it's here, or you could send multiple choice and it'll give you a chart there of what's happening. Now here's another tool. It's one of my favorite tools, and this is Nearpod that you use with iPads. So if you look at this website, the teacher creates multimedia presentations. So take a PowerPoint, uploads it to the internet in her Nearpod account or his Nearpod account, and then can put different things in the PowerPoint. So different kinds of questions, have students draw things, send them to the internet, have them watch videos, and then the students send back those responses and the teacher gets it and they can monitor the progress. So you might want to go to this website and click on how Nearpod works, or go down here and watch Nearpod in action. That's a great resource. You notice that we used Google Drive and we used the forms before, so that's another thing you could do. And we use it in our class because we aren't synchronous. This is something you could use in an asynchronous way. And you could just create your form. And all of you did this. Created your form, and then you have all these different kinds of questions. What we didn't do is really look at all the different kinds of questions, but notice that you can do a scale, have them choose from a list, check boxes, paragraph, text, text. The one thing with Google Forms is it doesn't correct it for you, so you still have to do the correcting, but you still can gather a lot of information quickly. You do get a spreadsheet that you can download and put in Excel and work with it. So this is another great tool for gathering summative information about what students know and don't know. If you're a math teacher or you know a math teacher, then this is a great site for both monitoring progress and for providing feedback to students about their math skills. You make an account, your students log into your account and they can work on their math skills and you can monitor their progress. So math teachers love this site. You might want to check this site, 10 marks, if you know of a math teacher. To assess understanding, we have to know what students are thinking. They're going to have to either write it or talk to us. So that my favorite tool for assessing understanding is the screencasting tool, as students are able to demonstrate while they're talking and show us they know something. There are many screencasting tools we can use, both online and apps. This one is Explain Everything, and I'm using Screencast-O-Matic, which is an online tool that you don't need any software to download. Now, one of our favorite tools that's an app is called EduCreations, and here's an example of a student screencast made with EduCreations.
This one is a schematic circuit drawn in pictures, and this one is drawn in the symbols. They're both complete circuits when this lever is pushed all the way down into that. Then the two bulbs light. Or these are the batteries. The symbol for the batteries are these.
You'll be making a screencast later in this week as an assignment. You might want to use this ScreenR. It's an online tool that's free and easy to use, or Screencast-O-Matic, which is what I'm using right now. It works really well, it's free, and it's right online. If you want a Cadillac screencasting tool, then get Camtasia Studio. It's got all the bells and whistles, and it's a combination of like iMovie with a screencasting tool. Another tool we can use to assess understanding is Today's Meet. You may be familiar with this because we used it earlier in the year. It's easy to set up a room, gives to students the website address, and then they can be in this room. It's a chat room, but we can use it for education, for formative assessment. So I know a fourth grade teacher who uses this. Her kids think it's great because she tells them it's like Twitter, and she'll ask them, she'll be in the middle of teaching them and ask them to draw an inference or draw a conclusion. Everyone will type in their answer, and the answers will appear right here. They'll see all of the answers, and they can go over what makes this a good inference, what makes this not a good inference. She has some students who don't like to answer at all, and she'll tell them to look at the rest of the answers and pick one that they think is the best answer and type that in so that everyone participates, everyone gets to answer every question. They don't have to raise their hand and have just one person participate at a time. So this is a great tool for that quick formative assessment and find out what do students know right now and how might I want to change my teaching because of it. Book Creator is another iPad app. So if you have an iPad or if you have students that have iPads, this is a great easy tool to use, and the students can make their own books. There's a video here so you can watch what it looks like to make their own books. We had second graders do some research and make a book just in one day by putting in pictures, typing in their content. You can put videos in this, and you can also record your voice. So Book Creator is another app that's great for assessing understanding as students synthesize what they know and put it together, and they can explain their understanding.